everyone, Zeddy here today with a brand new video, and we are going to start our review series on Ashes of Outland. We haven't been clickbaiting the whole way. We have waited till all the cards are revealed so I can give my absolutely terrible predictions as to how good the cards will be. I will be rating on a 5-star basis, with 5 being a god tier card in basically every deck possible that it can be in, and 1 star being unplayable garbage that you might pick in Arena. This will be a standard and wild review. I'm going to review each card on the basis of it being in standard and wild, its power levels there. So I don't think you're going to find that in pretty much any other review, so hopefully enjoy that aspect. And we're going to start off with every day we'll be looking at a new class. So today will be the Demon Hunter review, and we'll keep going forward with that. I'm going to include in the Demon Hunter review the basic and the initiate set as well as the Ashes of Outland cards, because they're all brand new and I feel like you kind of need to evaluate them all together. So let's get started. We have Shadow Hoof Slayer, a 1-mana 2/1 battle cry. Give your hero +1 attack this turn. The card to me just seems like a good auto-include in your aggressive Demon Hunter deck. In terms of standard power level, pretty good 1-drop. There's not a lot of great 1-drops, and, well, this contests pretty much everything. And we should see some play in the aggressive Demon Hunter deck. So in terms of standard, I'll give it a 3. And going forward in this review for Demon Hunter, it's going to be hard to evaluate Demon Hunter on a wild basis, but we're going to try our best. I don't think this is good enough in wild, but we'll see. Going to give it a 2 in wild. Then we have Chaos Strike, 2-mana spell. Give your hero +2 attack this turn, draw a card. Demon Hunter has better draw options, better damage options, kind of one of the weaker cards. I'll give this card a 2 in both standard and wild. Don't think it'll see much play, but it's a decent addition to the class. Then we have Sightless Watcher, a 2-mana 3/2 demon. Battlecry, look at the top 3 cards, or look at 3 cards in your deck, choose 1 to put on the top. This can really benefit the class's ability to use Outcast, which gives you a bonus if you play the card from your right or left side of your hand. So if you really want to utilize Outcast, you want to play this card so that your top deck will have its Outcast activated. Outside of that, as a tutor for that effect, I don't think the card is particularly good. And again, I think there's better options. I think you'd rather be drawing a card than organizing how you draw it. But interesting card to say the least. I'll give this a 2 in standard and a 2 in wild. Then we have Eldraki Warblades, a 3-mana 2/3 lifesteal weapon. Pretty solid. The lifesteal part's the big deal. You can buff this pretty easily with your hero power to heal for 3 or more. So overall, you're looking like 9, maybe 10 to 12 healing. You could do 9 to 10 damage with this. It's just a solid card. I think in standard, in the slower Demon Hunter decks, it could see play. So I'm going to give it a 3 there. But in terms of wild, this is just too slow, too fair. And I don't know if a slow Demon Hunter deck is really going to be able to thrive. So I'm going to give it a 2 for wild. Then we have Coordinated Strike. This is a 3-mana spell. Summon 3 1/1 Illidars with Rush. These are 1/1 demons. Very strong card. 3 1/1s with Rush. Just lets you fight for board. And Demon Hunter has insane synergies with their minions dying. In standard, I think this is an auto-include in pretty much the aggressive or even the slower decks. I will give this a 4 stars. In wild, I think that the aggressive Demon Hunter deck has a fighting chance. So I'm going to give it a 3 there. I think it will maybe see a bit of play in wild. Satyr Overseer, 3-mana 4/2 after hero attack, summon a 2/2 Satyr. The stats suck. The payoff's not really great. Very vulnerable. Doesn't have rush. Doesn't have charge. Not sold on this card. I think it's just kind of weak. I'm going to give it a 1 for standard and a 1 for wild. Then we have Soul Cleave, a 2-mana lifesteal spell. Do damage to 2 random enemy minions. Just too fair. I don't think it's good enough either in standard or wild. It's just Cleave in Warrior's not great. You're paying 1 more mana for lifesteal. Don't think it's very good. I'm going to give it a 1 for standard and a 1 for wild. We have Chaos Nova, a 5-mana AoE spell. Deal 4 damage to all minions. This one's pretty important in terms of Zephrys. This is a Zephrys pickable spell. But on top of that, it's just an insane AoE on any slow deck. I think the slow Demon Hunter, like I said, has a shot in standard. In wild, I'm not convinced. So I'm going to give this a 4 for standard and a 2 for wild. But down the road, when more Demon Hunter cards get made and maybe the slower wild deck can catch up, it might move up. But that's what I'm going to go with for now. And then we have Glavehood Adept. Or Glaive Bound, add up to 5 mana 7/4 Battlecry. If your hero attack this turn, deal 4 damage. Pretty aggressively statted card, and it can go face for 4 or attack minions. Flexible aggro card, but expensive. Might make the cut in standard, so I'm going to give it a 3 there. In wild, too inefficient, too crappy statted. I'm going to give it a 2 there. And then lastly, we have Inner Demon, an 8 mana spell. Give your hero +8 attack this turn. I see a Kalefest potential with this deck, especially with the 0 mana Slice card. But only in standard will that ever be good enough, and it's pretty much a meme. But I'm going to give it a 3, just for the Kalefest high roll. You never know. But probably not. In standard, a 3. In wild, a 1. It's just way, way too expensive and inefficient. And you're not going to be able to get through taunts very well with that. So that's the basic set. Let's take a look at the initiate set of Demon Hunter cards. So we have Blur. A 0 mana spell. Your hero can't take damage this turn. Effectively, you can make yourself immune. And I don't think that it's worth the card slot. I think you rather run the lifesteal stuff to get your health back if you're worried about that. Just not really worth it. There is potential, I said, with Kelfest, but again, I think you're using Twin Slice for that. So maybe worth it with that, maybe not. But I'm going to give it a 2 in standard and a 1 in wild. Then we have Twin Slice, 0 mana spell. Give your hero +1 attack this turn. Add a second slice to your hand. Important to note, the second slice will go to the right side of your hand. So if you have a card that utilizes that, such as a legendary we'll talk about later, you can utilize that, and that's powerful. But this card can let you cycle. It can let you do 0 mana damage. You can do it with Auctioneer. Use it with Questing Adventurer. You can use it with Kalathos. There's a lot of possibilities. And it's 0 mana removal. We've seen with Backstab and all that. That can be very powerful. I think this will be a staple in most Demon Hunter decks. It's just too good. It's too good not to see play. In standard, for me, this is a 5-star card. It's going to be in most Demon Hunter decks. And in wild, 4-star, maybe 5. I'll just give it 5 across the board. It's just, if you're going to play Demon Hunter, I think you're running Twin Slice. The card's insane. And then we have Battle Fiend, a 1 mana 2/2 demon. After your hero attacks, gain +1 attack. Insanely powerful, aggressive card. Premium stats with upside is always good. This infinitely scales attack, but will likely die in a turn or two. But just immediate presence on the board, aggressive, perfect in an aggressive deck. I'm going to give this a 4 stars in standard, 4 stars in wild, only because it doesn't play into the late game deck, so it's not going to be in every Demon Hunter deck. Then we have Consume Magic, a 1 mana spell. Silence an enemy, outcast, draw a card. 1 mana silence, not great. 1 mana silence, draw a card, really good. How consistently you can get this off will be basically the metric of how good the card is. I think in standard, you probably run this as it's a 4-star card. It's in a lot of decks. It can be aggressive, it can be in a combo deck, it can be in control deck, it can be in a lot of things. So 4-star card. In wild, 3-star will see some play, but again, I think you have to be really aggressive, and this might not be consistent enough for that. Then we have Mana Burn, 1 mana spell. Your opponent has 2 fewer mana crystals this turn. It's like a little mini Lothab, and you can stack it. You can play 2 of them. You can combo with Vargoth and really screw your opponent. Really interesting and powerful card. I think you would run this in either standard or wild, because if you're playing an aggressive strategy, neuting your opponent's mana crystals is great. So I will give this one a 4 stars across the board. Then we have Urzel Horror, a 1 mana 2/1 demon. Death Rattle added 2/1 Lost Soul to your hand. I think there's already multiple 1-drops in Demon Hunter that are better than this. It's not particularly bad, but it's pretty underwhelming. So 2 stars in standard, 2 stars in wild. We have Blade Dance. Deal damage equal to your hero's attack to 3 random enemy minions. Not a bad card, but not anything really worth running. You already have better removal. It's kind of clunky. It can get screwed over by the RNG element. Not really sold on it. I'm going to give it a 1 in standard, a 1 in wild. Then we have Feast of Souls. This card is the nuts. Draw a card for each friendly minion that dies this turn. With all your rush minions, all your cheap minions, this can easily be 2 mana draw, 5, 6, 7. It's insane. In an aggressive deck, in a combo deck, any of that. This card is absolutely crazy. Interested to try it out myself. So giving this a 5 stars in standard, and if this is gonna, if Demon Hunter's gonna be a player in wild, I think this card's gonna help put it over the top. So 5 stars standard, 5 stars wild. Then we have Umberwing, 2 mana 1/2 weapon. Battlecry, summon 2 1/1 Fellwings. They're just 1/1 demons. Just super good early play. Gives you board, lets you fight for board. Has synergy with, again, your minions dying off. Really strong card. I think is a staple in any Demon Hunter deck for the most part. Again, I'm going to give this one 4 stars in Standard, 4 stars in Wild. Then we have Altruist, the Outcast 3-mana 3/2 legendary. After you play the left or rightmost card in your hand, deal 1 damage to all enemies. That includes the enemy hero, so you can Smark with this even. It's very fragile and vulnerable, but the effect is insane. If you can pull off just a couple of effects, that's a free consecration. And I think that that just for that potential alone, it'll find its way to some decks, and you can sneak out some pretty insane little AoE turns. And if it sticks, you're winning the game. So I'm going to give this a 3 stars in Standard and 3 stars in Wild. Then we have I-Beam, 3 mana, deal 3 damage with Lifesteal. Outcast, this costs 0. Obviously, 0 mana, deal 3 damage. Lifesteal is great. Feel this goes into the more long game decks for Demon Hunter, which I only see being any good in Standard. So I'm going to give this a 4 for Standard and a 2 for Wild. I don't see it, but even without the mana cheat, it's a playable, decent card. So it doesn't have to have the upside, but if it does have the upside, it's pretty good. Then we have Wrathscale Naga, a 3 mana 3/1 minion. Terrible stats, right? Well, after a friendly minion dies, deal 3 damage to a random enemy, which is insane, especially when you have all these rush minions, all these little 1/1s dying. That damage adds up fast, and you can combo. You can combo it for 18 damage with Command the Illidari. Insane. I feel this will be the staple card in the aggressive deck, where you just push insane amount of damage. So in Standard, I'm giving this a 4, and in Wild, I'm giving it a 4. If Aggro Demon Hunter is going to work, this is a card that's really going to help push it over the top. Then we have Illidari Fellblade, a 4 mana 5/3 rush minion. And if it's a Outcast, is immune. So same top deck. It's a 5 damage immune rush minion that will stick around, aggressively statted. Good card. I just feel like there's better stuff to do, but you might run it. I'm interested. I'm going to give it a 3 in Standard and a 2 in Wild. Probably doesn't make the cut there. It's probably not good enough, but Standard, I could see it making the cut. Then we have Raging Fell Screamer, 4 mana 4/4. Battlecry. The next demon you play costs 2 less. This can stack, so you can make a demon cost 4 less. Cheats out the demons. I think the demon cheating package will work in Standard. I think it's good enough. So I'm going to give this a 4 there, but in terms of Wild, I just feel like the mana cheating is not on the level of what all the other mana cheat decks do, and you're going to fall behind. So I'm going to give it a 2 there. It's not quite up to the Wild cut, but in Standard, I can see it being a player. Then we have Soul Split, 4 mana spell. Choose a friendly demon, summon a copy of it. 2 situational, 2 win more for my liking. I don't see it in Standard or Wild. I'm going to give this one a 2 in Standard, a 1 in Wild. I just find if a card is completely dead unless you have an insane demon on the board, it's probably not a good card. Then we have 5 mana spell, Command the Illidari, as mentioned earlier. Summon 6 1/1s with Rush. Deal 18 damage with a Wrathscale Naga for 7 or 8 mana. Draw 6 cards with Feast of Souls for 7 mana. This card enables so many broken things that you can do in Demon Hunter. It's 5 stars in Standard, 5 stars in Wild. Fantastic card. I think this will be a staple in pretty much every single Demon Hunter deck going forward. Insane card. Really good. Then we have Wrath Spike Brute, 5 mana 2/6 demon. After this is attack, deal 1 damage to all enemies, again including enemy's face. Stats kind of suck. The effect is okay, but your opponent can manipulate it pretty well. Don't think this will see much play. It's not a demon really worth cheating out. I'll give it a 1 in Standard and a 1 in Wild. And we have Flame Reaper, 7 mana 4/3 weapon. After also damages the minions next to whoever attacks. We've seen this with Garrosh, the Death Knight. His weapon was the exact same. It was okay there, not great. I don't think it's good enough in Demon Hunter. It's too slow, not enough damage. You can do way better stuff, but not a terrible card. I'll give it a 2 for Standard, a 2 for Wild. And then we have Hulking Overfiend, 8 mana 5/10 demon. Rush. After this attacks and kills a minion, it may attack again. I think this could be a staple in Standard in the Demon Hunt package because it's a proactive demon you can cheat out. And, well, it's pretty insane to be able to basically board clear on a body. Really good. I do think it'll see play. I give it 3 stars as a part of that package. Again, in Wild, this is too slow. It's not good enough, even if you cheat it out. So I'm going to give it a 1 there. And then we have Nethrindamus, a Demon Hunter legendary, 9 mana 8/8 Battlecry. Summon 2 random 0-cost minions, but it upgrades each time a friendly minion dies. This doesn't take long for it to get insane. It has to be in your hand to upgrade, but your deck is built. A lot of your decks are built around killing off your own minions and drawing and doing all that stuff. So you're naturally going to draw this card and deal trade off, and it's going to be insane. You're going to get 2 10-drops with this on 9. That's an insane swing. You've seen it with Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, very similar to that type of a power swing. And you don't even have to run Highlander cards. So, in any slower and not super hyper-aggressive Demon Hunter deck, I just think you throw this in. It's crazy. I'm going to give it a 4 stars in Standard. And even in Wild, I do think you need to be aggressive. I think it's too slow in Wild, so I'm going to give it a 2 there. But it might sneak in. It might make the cut. You never know. So that's the Initiate set. Now we go into the Ashes of Outland official cards for the expansion. What you can expect to open in your packs on April 7th. So we have Immolate Aura. 2 mana spell. Deal 1 damage to all minions twice. It's like a double whirlwind. It can get through like 1/1 death rattles. Underwhelming. Not very efficient. I'm not sold on this one. I'm going to give it a 2 in Standard and a 1 in Wild, because it just doesn't do anything in Wild. Then we have Netherwalker, a 2 mana 2/2 Battlecry, discover a demon. Not bad, not great. I don't think you're playing this card. It just feels like a filler. 2 stars in Standard, 1 in Wild. 4 mana 3/5 Taunt, Lifesteal, Ashtongue, Battlelord. Senjin with Lifesteal. Pretty good, right? Still probably not going to make the cut. Maybe in the slower demon cheat decks, and this doesn't screw your demon pool up, you might play it. So I think as a 3 in Standard, you might see it there. But in Wild, way too slow. Not going to do much for you. Then we have Crimson Sigil Runner. It's a 1 mana 2/1 Outcast, draw a card. If the Outcast is active, this card is insane. It's Cobalt Librarian without the downside of taking damage. If it doesn't have Outcast, it's crap. And you really need to play this on 1. You need to play it earlier, you know, like... It's a good top deck, I suppose. It cycles itself. I think it'll see some play, but I think it's not as good as people think it is. So in Standard, I'm going to give it a 3. It'll see some marginal play. In Wild, I don't think it's consistent enough to run. I'll give it a 2. And then we have Coilfang Warlord, an 8 mana 9/5 Rush, Death Rattle, summon a 5/9 Warlord with Taunt. You get the proactive part first, which is good, and you get the defensive part second, which is great. It's an expensive card, but really good expensive card in Standard. I think this can compete. It's very strong. So I'm going to give it a 3 there. I think it'll see play in Standard, but again, all the slower cards I don't think can compete in Wild. Can't keep up with that stuff, so I'm going to give it a 2 for Wild. Then we have Fell Summoner. This is the centerpiece, I believe, of the Demon cheating package. Very reminiscent of Voidlord. It's a 6 mana 8/3. Death Rattle, summon a random demon from your hand. And we have cards coming up like Pit Commander and some pretty big demons that this can cheat. Very solid card. You can't ignore it. It has 8 attack. You have to kill it, or you have to silence or transform it. But if that does happen, you're probably losing the game. So there is that downside. But I think it'll see play in the Demon Hunt deck, Demon cheat package decks, and I think they'll make the cut in Standard. So I'm going to give it a 4. But in Wild, it's not good enough. This is so bad in Wild. I'm going to give it a 1. Then we have Priestess of Fury, a 7 mana 6/7 demon, one of the demons we could cheat. At the end of your turn, deal 6 damage, randomly split amongst all enemies. This can go face. It can continues every single turn it stays alive. I don't think it's good enough. Even in Standard, it feels not good enough. But if you cheat it out, maybe. I'm going to give it a 3. It's so borderline. I want to give it a 2 and say it's not going to be. It's just not good enough. But I'm going to say it's going to see a little bit of play in the demon cheat package. But, borderline. And in Wild, a 1, just unplayable. And then we have Kain Sun Fury. This card is insane. It's a legendary minion. Charge, 4 mana 3/5. All friendly attacks ignore taunt, including your enemy hero. Well, that's 4 mana Mass Dispel with a 3 attack on top of it, and it's a recurring effect that needs to be removed if you haven't killed your opponent already. Insane in the aggressive decks. Will be auto-include in them. I'm going to give this 5 in Standard, 5 in Wild. If the aggressive deck is going to work in Wild, this will be a centerpiece in it as well. Super strong card. Leroy died for this, but hey, you got charge back. It's good, right? We have 5 mana 10/6 Demon, dormant for 2 turns, Imprison Antion. When this awakens, deal 10 damage, randomly split amongst all enemies. I feel this is too slow, too clunky, too easy to play around. In Standard, in Wild, I'm not impressed with the card. In Standard, I'm giving this a 2. In Wild, I'm giving it a 1. It's just too slow. Then we have Spectral Sight, draw a card, outcost, draw another. So 2 mana draw a card kind of sucks. 2 mana draw 2 is not bad. You already have that insane broken card that we talked about that draws possibly 6, but you need redundancy in your deck. I think if you're playing a control or combo deck, you'll want the redundancy of Spectral Sight. It's not bad. It's not great, but you might run it. I'll give it a 3 for standard and a 1 for wild. Then we have Furious Felfin, a 2-mana 3/2 Murloc. Battlecry, if your hero attack this turn, gain +1 attack and rush. Premium stats with upside, pretty good. You can play it in your aggressive deck. It fights early board. Not a bad minion at all. I'm going to give it a 3 for standard, 3 for wild. We'll probably see some play. Pit Commander, 9 mana, 7/9 demon with taunt. At the end of your turn, summon a demon from your deck. This is the card that will make the demon cheat package work if it's going to work. In wild, again, I think it's too slow, but in standard, I mean, this sticks for a turn. In 2 turns, you've cheated a million mana, and it's got taunt and a big body. It's nuts. So I'm giving it a 4 in standard and a 2 in wild. Really crazy card. Then we have Metamorphosis, a 5-mana legendary spell. Swap your hero power to deal 5 damage, which costs 1. After 2 uses, swap it back. So, for 6 mana, you can play this and deal 5, and then the next turn deal another 5. That's 7 mana Pyroblast over 2 turns. Pretty strong. I think it's a great finisher in your aggro deck if you need that extra reach, or if you just need to fight for board. And you might even run it in control just to, fight for that board. So, very strong card. In standard, I'm giving it a 4. In wild, I'm giving it a 3. And then we have Warglaives of Azeroth, 5-mana 3/4 weapon. After attacking a minion, your hero may attack again. And it can go face, unlike Fool's Bane, which Warrior got back in the day. Solid card, but again, I think it's too slow and not great in either format, standard or wild. I'm going to give it a 2 for standard and a 1 for wild. And the last Demon Hunter card to reveal is Skull of Gul'dan. 5 mana, draw 3 cards. Not bad. Outcast, reduce their cost by 3. That is insane. You can potentially net +4 mana off of this. Mana cheat's powerful. Drawing cards is powerful. This card is insane. 5 stars in standard, 5 stars in wild. I don't care. This card will break the game in some way at some point. It's so ridiculously strong. And yeah, that wraps up the Demon Hunter package of cards. We will continue tomorrow with another class. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. And we'll see you tomorrow with another review. Stay salty, my friends.